Friends, welcome to Mind and Intellect Conversations. Today's podcast is on dealing with attractive distractions. We have an interesting guest with us, Mr. Prashanth.
Prashanth is a chartered accountant from the ICAI India with over 20 years of experience in the field of finance and internal audit. A long-time resident of Dubai, currently he holds the position of Chief Internal Audit Officer of a global real estate developer listed in LSE. Aside his professional role, his interest spans across various areas. He is a voracious reader, an author who does ghostwriting and had published a novel. He rarely does painting as well. He also mentors young minds who venture in startups and help them set their and achieve their goals. Last but not the least, he is an ardent student of Vedantha and Sreedharan Ji for almost 9 years now.
A great topic, attractive distractions. Let's get into it.
Thank you for having me on this podcast. And at the outset, first, I would like to say that thanks for all the lessons and learnings. Thanks for putting up with me patiently all through these years. And I'm really glad that we are having this conversation today, sir.
I'm happy to have you, Prashanth, and known you for so many years. And I've seen you grow. The change in your quality of thinking is commendable. Thank you for being with us.
Sir. Thank you, sir. So, attractive distractions. When I saw the topic, actually, I think you, as you know me, the topic is written all over my face. Everything starts with an attraction, be it love, relationship, or friendship, job, passion, whatever it is. The very fact that the earth is also attracting everything in the form of gravity. Could you please elaborate and what actually attraction is? What is this force?
Hey, I'm taking attraction in a positive sense. Attraction represents your strong desires, your interests, your inclinations, and that's your, in a positive way, that's your strong aspects in you. And attraction is a choice and an action propelled by your mind and intellect to experience a goal, to fulfill a goal, to embrace an individual, or to experience an object. So attraction, in our context, we're taking it in a positive sense. Because we are attracted to something or the other. So attraction, if it is sustained as a choice and a action from the mind and intellect, it can lead us in the proper direction in our life.
Okay, so if I understand, attraction is a confluence of mind and intellect,
right,
channeled towards a particular object or a task or people or an object, if I'm
correct. Attraction, in the sense, is something which propels you to do the right things.
Right things.
So, if there is no attraction, people may be lazy. They may just be inactive. So, therefore, in our context, attraction can be taken in different ways, but we are observing it or taking up in a way which can help any individual.
Okay, sir. Understood. First, attraction, for the first time, I would say, it's you have given a very clear positive context towards the word attraction, because usually we like, oh, you're attracted towards blah, blah, whatever it is. Yeah. Thank you, sir. There is this another word that is frequently used in these age, which is distraction. With the advent of social media, lots and lots of, avenues that actually distract our mind and focus from what is on. Could you please elaborate on that? What actually these distractions are?
See, having mentioned about attraction in a positive sense, distraction is an impulse from a strong mind. Distraction highlights our cravings, our needs, our indulgences, and also an area of ignorance. We are all distracted because there's some area of ignorance. Something distracts us from the chosen action, the chosen path. So it is a strong impulse arising from the mind. It denotes your indulgences. It highlights our weaknesses, because a distraction is what? There is some weakness which is predominant. Therefore, you get distracted. So that is one aspect. And another way to put across is distractions prevents us from what we want to do, it is what we have chosen to do. And they say, it is to elaborate further, the impulse we receive from the five senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Impulse, we receive it. Through the eyes, you see color and form. Through the nose, you smell. Through the ears, you hear various sounds. Through the tongue, you taste. And through the skin, you touch and feel. Through the five senses, each one of us get an impulse, a stimuli from the world. And that becomes the cause. And temptation becomes an effect. If you know it well, our life functions on cause and effect. So impulse through the five senses from the world becomes the cause. Temptation becomes an effect. Again, temptation becomes the cause. Distraction becomes an effect. So if you are able to deal with the impulses, you are not tempted. If you are not a victim of your temptation, you are not distracted. So distraction, therefore, is a strong impulse from your mind.
Okay.
Because there is a weakness, because we have an avenue of indulgence previously, the impulse comes in and then the mind takes over. Now you are distracted. So this is distraction. In fact, they say, I think it was Oscar Wilde who made this statement, I can resist anything except temptations. So temptation, they say, is a feeling you get when encountered with an impulse. And you know innately that you shouldn't pursue it. That's temptation. So let's not be like Oscar Wilde. I can resist anything except temptations. So this is distraction. And in simple words, it's a strong impulse from the mind. Whoever is a victim of the mind, they become a victim of distractions. And whoever gets easily distracted finds it very difficult to focus, concentrate. So it is attraction is there, but if you are a victim of your mind, you are easily prone to get distracted. And with distraction, nothing much happens except wasting our time and energy.
Okay. So if I understand, an initial attraction, if it is not sustained with proper confluence of mind and intellect, it loses the interest. Then mind starts switching to another, which becomes a distraction.
Correct. You're right. That's the equation. You're right.
Okay, sir. And can you please, sorry, I'm going back to the point that we discussed. Can you please, the cause and effect which you explained, can you please repeat one more time?
Impulse from the world, a stimuli from the world which enters your system through the five senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Through the eyes you hear, you see various forms. Through the nose you smell. Through the ears you hear. Through the tongue you taste, and through the skin you touch, and that sensation happens. So the world provides us impulses, stimuli through the five senses, and that becomes a cause. Temptation becomes an effect. Again, once you're tempted by it, temptation becomes a cause, distraction becomes an effect. You started off something, but there was an impulse which came in the middle, and now you allowed the impulse to go further, which is you are tempted by it, and then you got distracted by it. Now that distraction is ruling you. A person wants to go to play paddle. Of late, that's becoming big, and dressed up properly. He has all the equipment. While going to the paddle club, a stimuli enters. There is a bar, and stimuli enters, and in happy hours. Today extension from 5 to 8, but today 5 to 10 happy hours, and buy one get two free, and an impulse comes in. And temptation creates, it's been a while, and I like this place. And then temptation, and the impulse, you're tempted, temptation becomes stronger, you get distracted. You have to go another few hundred meters to take a turn to the paddle court. in a 300 meters prior to it, there's another turn which goes to the pub. Now, there was an attraction to play paddle to become a little more healthier, but there is a distraction, which is a strong impulse from the mind. As a result, you diverted, and now that distraction. You're a victim of the distraction. So cause and effect: impulse, temptation, distraction, and now that is ruling your time, energy.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure people are going to comment right on and ask on the comment that which pub that extends happy hours till 10 p.m.
Correct.
Actually, I wanted to, from distraction, I think you partly answered, but I would still like to, reiterate a continuance of the same question, sir. Why are we distracted?
Right. I wish all of us are aware thoroughly, not just as information, but as a strong imprint, mind impression. What do you say? See, most of us, number one, who function on the mind, they are prone to get distracted. Few aspects on the mind which creates this distraction is the mind by design gets bored by repetition. Anything which is repeated too often, the mind gets bored. It's like a person, as a North Indian, who he likes South Indian breakfast, and he visits Chennai for South India for 20 days. Every day he is given idli and sambar. After a week he gets bored. Repetition then makes it monotonous. So one of the reasons we get distracted is repetition. The mind cannot stand repetition. And as a result, they get bored, therefore they get distracted. Let me try some other breakfast. So I'm not saying right or wrong. The nature of the mind cannot sustain repetition. They get annoyed, bored. Therefore, we get distracted. Another aspect is nature of the mind is the mind by design seeks variety. By design seeks variety. It is again, one is the mind gets bored with repetition. Second, along with it is the mind seeks variety. When it seeks variety, you are bound to get distracted. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. If you function on the mind by design seeks variety. If you're wearing this color, this beige color shirt, and you have 2-3 shirts, and you want a variety. You want to wear a dark brown shirt or a black shirt. If you're functioning on the mind seeks variety. One of the fundamental reasons for many people in relationships to get distracted. If only they are aware of how dangerous the mind is, affairs will never happen. Then, another aspect is the mind craves for what it does not have. It is therefore the distraction can happen. Whatever you don't have, that's you say why it does. That's the nature of the mind. Whatever we don't have, the mind craves for it. So a person who's again they like sushi. They have not had it for a while. That's why what they don't have, they crave for it. It is so the other reason. Another fundamental reason we get distracted easily is mind seeks instant pleasures. Instant pleasure. Mind is not designed for delayed gratification. Mind is designed, the nature of the mind is it wants instant pleasure. The moment you're working on your project for almost 5 hours and you're tired and instant pleasure. Something and the mind gets distracted. Instant pleasure. And that's another avenue of distraction. And one more aspect is distraction highlights our lack of willpower. Willpower is a combination, is a confluence of mind and intellect. The mind surrenders to that action, to that chosen path. And intellect is fired with that goal. So there is willpower. The willpower is your decision to pursue what you innately want to do it, and it's the discipline to avoid all that which takes you away from the chosen path. Willpower is a confluence of mind and intellect. Those who lack that confluence lack willpower. So that's another avenue of getting distracted. Another, I would say, a basic reason is not many of us have made ourselves accountable and responsible for our choices, for our actions, for our emotions. So since we have not made ourselves accountable, we make others accountable or responsible for what we are going through. We think others are responsible for what we are going through. Partly it is right, but predominantly if you take accountability, responsibility for every perception, every action, every thought, and every choice you make, you will not get distracted. Not many of us. That's the reason blame game happens, because we have not made ourselves accountable, ourselves responsible. So these are the various ways, the reasons why we get distracted. I repeat, mind gets annoyed with repetition. Another thing, mind seeks variety most of the time. Only when it is under the influence and control of the intellect, it sets to a path. Another, mind focus on what it does not have all the time. It is a couple would have gone on a nice holiday to Italy. What you said? They say, you said you will take me to New Zealand. You have not yet taken. When are you going to take me? I said, just now we went to Tuscany and Rome and all those places. But you've been promising that you'll be taking me to New Zealand. It's not yet taken. So the mind will always focus on what they don't have or they have not yet experienced. Then is another dangerous aspect, mind falls for instant pleasure. Mind is like a child, easily getting distracted. If we get a child, a 3-year-old child, to sit in a podcast and ask a sensible question, is it possible? The child gets distracted. The mind is equated to a child. So that's why, therefore, our mind, a person who functions on the mind lacks willpower. And again, another way of getting distracted, and we have not made ourselves accountable and responsible for our choices. So these are various reasons, and in each of our life, there could be some reason which has made us getting distracted. It is one of it. You may not seek variety, but you crave for what you don't have. Or you not get bored with repetition, but you fall for instant pleasure. Something or the other distracts an individual from what they have decided to do.
Now it makes sense actually. Most of the time it appears that when we get distracted, we don't even realize actually what we are doing or from where we started, and we got distracted where else.
Correct.
I think it's purely because now it makes sense for me, because when you explain that mind, when we operate purely out of mind without the interference and guidance of the intellect, I think we just lose track of
Correct.
our primary goal and objective in whatever the activities that we are
Correct.
doing. True, that makes sense, sir. So this moves on to the next question. I couldn't stop resisting but ask, what actually strengthens our distraction? Because we get propelled,
Right.
but actually why we get so attached to that
Right.
process of distraction?
Correct. Another, if these are all essential learnings. Talking to you in the schools and universities, if they highlight, just imagine the levels of concentration and productivity they can experience.
Absolutely, sir.
So, what strengthens our distractions? And number one is the demand and supply.
Can you please elaborate?
Demand, and it's like a person sitting in a small town called Chidambaram in South India has a demand for single malt from Scotland.
Okay.
Single malt from Scotland. He's sitting there, but there's a demand for single malt. Therefore, in Chidambaram Street, a product from the highlands of Scotland travels all the way from Scotland and lands in his doorstep. Why? Demand and supply. It is he wants to get distracted on a weekend. Demand and supply. Or now it's the IPL season. A person could be in England and he wants to see the Chennai CSK Tala Dhoni entering. So that demand he has created, demand is what? A strong desire of the mind. A demand is created from London. He could be staying very near Lord's Cricket Ground and there could be many matches happening there. But from there he lands in Chennai and then he's landed just that afternoon. Straight he goes to Chepauk Stadium and he's waiting for Tala to enter. It is demand and supply. It is so when the demand is stronger, what happens? It strengthens your distractions. It is when the demand is and such people blame the supply. True. It is there, right? Therefore, somebody has to consume. We can blame the supply. That is not going to solve the problem. You got to, and we are not saying deprive yourself of the demand. Have another demand, some other better demand you have. So, unless the demand in an individual is dealt with gracefully, then you can deal with the supply. Or you can be in a situation where you are not affected by the supply. You could go to a pub and you can have a great conversation and there is no demand from yourself that you want to have it. Even though supply is, your friend is willing to buy a whole bottle for you. There is no demand from yourself. So, number one, what strengthens your distraction is the demand is strong. Therefore, the distraction is, we give into distraction very easily. Another very interesting reason for it, which not many, look into it properly, is after an experience is over, when you mentally linger in it, when you mentally relive, you are mentally reliving an experience in your mind when the experience is already over. So what happens when you relive, when you linger in it? That was wonderful. It could be a substance, it could be a place, it could be a person. When you start mentally, you never thought of a relationship, you never thought of an indulgence, but when you mentally linger in an experience, mentally relive, that was a great time, it was really lovely to meet up again. Or I'm saying when you relive, what was a distraction is becoming stronger because you're mentally reliving it.
At the same time, isn't it also that, good to remember things and then recollect? It's like gone are those days. It was really beautiful ones, like my school days or college or, the early years.
But that is not a distraction. See, you have, what you're saying is a fond memory.
Okay.
It is, you go to your school, you meet an old friend or your schoolmate or an old colleague of yours. You may remember, but it is not you will not become distracted from it. It is when anybody says those were the days, the statement means that the present is not that beautiful.
Okay.
So, in fact, that is also a distraction. Those were the days. And those days you said, my God, if only I was driving a nice Dodge, then a Charger, it would have been much better driving a Hyundai Elantra. I have to push and push. But Dodge, now you're Dodge. Those were the days here. See, a simple car and I was so happy with it. And I'm not talking about you. I'm generally telling you. So, it is memory in a good way. Then it's not a distraction if it is recalled in the right way. It is but when we talk about, you didn't think it was a distraction, but because mentally lingering over it, mentally reliving, that has become an attraction. In fact, one of the reasons affairs happen. Because they never even thought of it. But suddenly a distraction happened, and then now you mentally linger in it. Now you want a little more of it because the mind craves for it more. And now that distraction, you have strengthened that distraction. Now the distraction controls you. So it's like Ravan and Sita. Ravana has never seen Sita, but Surpanaga, his sister, provokes him. You may have a harem of women, but if you have not experienced Sita, you have not experienced nothing. He starts mentally lingering in it. That has become a huge distraction. If he was not distracted, the whole Ramayana wouldn't have happened.
True.
In many people's life, the Ramayana is happening. In everyone's life, there is some Ramayana happening. And the Ramayana is because of the distraction. And attraction, you have given it to as a... Now, the distraction becomes stronger. So, there's a beautiful statement by Thomas Kempler. He says, we usually know what we can do. But temptations and distraction shows us who we are. Okay. We usually know what we can do. But our temptations and distraction shows us who we actually are. A simple statement, but conveys a lot. It shows us who we really are. You got to be careful in not allowing your distractions to get a hold on you. Once you make the distractions stronger, and you become a victim to that, and the distraction starts controlling you. So you got to be very, very careful. And then comes the ego, and then so many aspects. You got to be very cautious. This is where the intellect comes into play.
So if I understand, when we move out of present and either go back to past, digging our memory and wants to linger over there, or we go into an imaginative world like the Ravana and Surpanaka example you gave, where things have not happened yet. This guy had started actually, imagining if he had that woman, how his life would be. So if we move away from the present, then am I right in understanding?
You're right. What you're talking about is when you take an objective stance, when you view that whole thought as a witness, you tend to see it with clarity. Then with clarity, then what happens? The ignorance is removed, or that the exaggerated value you have given is diminished. So otherwise, that's in simple terms, the more and more a sharp intellect comes into play with the right value systems, you may not become a victim. In other terms, is self-control. Okay. But if you are objective enough in various roles of life, it will do wonders. It is, in fact, not many are actually aware that they are all victims of few roles. So that's the reason there are very few multi-role wonders. There are plenty of one-role wonders, which doesn't help you on the point.
Thank you, sir. So actually, this is my next question is a bit funny one. Why is this the distraction is always attractive compared to what actually the task or things we have in hand?
Correct. You see, I wish distractions appear destructive from the beginning, but that's not the case. It is there's a statement in the scriptures: that which is nectar in the beginning becomes poison in the end. That which is like poison in the beginning becomes nectar in the end. And a layman asks, if that which is poison in the beginning becomes poison in the end, and that which is nectar in the beginning becomes nectar in the end, and you don't need scriptures, you don't need mentors, gurus, or great sages and saints. Nature has devised it in such a way. Therefore, distractions are attractive. Distractions are attractive. And let me tell you, why it is attractive is, from a layman's point of view, our concept of pleasure and pain. Our concept of pleasure and pain, our perception of what is pain and what is pleasure. We associate pain, waking up early or doing, push-ups or eating healthy food to pain. And you associate the perception of pleasure as it is a weekend, man. 5 o'clock. What should I do? 5 palm or 10 JBR? I don't know what is it. See, it is the perception of pleasure,
Blah, blah.
or it's all blah blah.
Okay, I'm getting distracted now. Sorry.
So what I'm saying is your perception of pleasure, because you associate pleasure with certain aspects and you associate pain in certain ways. As a result, distractions have become attractive. It is a person who perceives that. That's why this is where Adi Shankara puts it in a pratipaksha bhavana. You look at the same aspect with a matured mentality, attitude. Pratipaksha bhavana. That is an answer. But what I'm saying is, our perception of pleasure and pain, this perception of what we consider as pleasure and pain is only right for you, not for everyone. Just to answer, if an object is pleasurable, everyone should experience pleasure from it, right? If it is pleasurable. If a person is painful, everyone should experience pain when being in connect with them. The same object, a cigarette is pleasurable for one, painful for another. A same partner is sorrowful for one, happiness for other. Therefore, it's your perception. If it is pleasure and pain, joy and sorrow inherent in an object or in a person, everyone should equally face it. It is that's not the case. Our perception of what is pain and pleasure makes a distraction extremely attractive. That's one. Another aspect, it satisfies the instant pleasures of the mind and the gratification of your ego. Instant pleasures of the mind, and it gratifies your ego. So, such people who are instant pleasures of the mind, they can't think anything beyond that instant pleasure. Anything beyond that instant pleasure. They can't consider delayed gratification. So everything is that. That's why it's attractive. They can't think anything beyond it. They're helpless. Like a child which loses a toy, it can't think that, look here, I can get many more toys in the future, or a robot itself I can get. But at that point of time, it cannot conceive anything beyond. A person who's made their distractions very attractive, they can't consider anything beyond that. And a person who's a victim of their ego, they want their ego to get satisfied, gratified. Therefore, they give a piece of their mind. So you got to be careful in that. So that's one thing. Another aspect is, in a general sense, the gap between physical adulthood and spiritual adulthood is one of the major reasons. Physically, we are all gained that adulthood. That spiritual adulthood, in the sense of values, we're not talking about rituals or prayers here. In the sense of values, in the sense of maturity, in the sense of objectivity, being a sakshi bhav, a witness, that gap between physical adulthood and spiritual adulthood makes the world as very attractive, tantalizing sense objects, mouth-watering pleasures. You look at the mouth-watering pleasures on a weekend. So all that it is the physical adulthood most of them have gained. Spiritual adulthood, delayed gratification, objectivity, consistently enhancing your value systems, and all that is missing. Therefore, it's easy. That's why it's easy to fall a victim to attractions. Easy to fall a victim to attractions. It's extremely difficult to deal with it gracefully. Satan tempted Christ with various attractions. And Christ told Satan, "Get thee behind me, Satan, I'll have none at thy hands." Get thee behind me, Satan, I'll have none at thy hands. So, Lord Hanuman portrayed that Single pointed focus. If it doesn't say Ram, he'll throw it off. It's like that. There's no distraction at all. So there are many people, even there's a cricket match which happened many years ago. VVS Lakshman and Rahul Dravid played the whole day. Whole day. Not only they saved the test match, I think they won the test match. Eventually they won the series. It is the whole day. I don't know if you remember.
No, I think one scored 300 plus,
Something,
and another one scored 200 plus.
Yeah, no, it is.
I remember that.
No, but whole day facing a fearsome attack of Australians. Fearsome attack. They didn't lose one wicket that day. No distractions. And Australians are famous for sledging and all other things. In spite of his VVS Lakshman, he is known for that one particular innings. So is Rahul Dravid. So all that I'm saying is, where is that focus? And how did they maintain that concentration without getting distracted? And cricket is a dangerous game. One small mistake you do, you're out. In many other things, you're given various chances. In cricket, one small nick, one loss of, one giving in to distraction, you're out. So that's the thing. You've got to be careful in it. And Lord Buddha makes a statement. He says, it's an individual's own mind and ego and not his enemy that lures him to evil ways. It's an individual's own mind and their ego and not their enemy which lures them, which attracts them, or distracts them to evil ways. To conquer oneself is the greatest task than conquering others, says Lord Buddha. So, to deal with distractions, the distraction has conquered you. Therefore, you became a victim. If you have conquered your mind, desires of the mind, and the possibilities of your intellect, the distractions of your intellect, then you have conquered the mind and your ego. As a result, you are in control of your thoughts, your perceptions, emotions, and thoughts. And that is being in absolute suzerainty over yourself. And that conquest is the conquest of paradise. So, the great Swami Vivekananda says, conquer your mind, you'll conquer the world. Fall a prey to your mind, you become a victim of the world. Conquer your mind. The mind is what? The nature of the mind is gets distracted. And it can never remain in one place. They say in a zoo, the monkey's cage is the biggest cage. And you have to search where the monkey is. And you see one monkey and it will never remain in that place. It will look at you, it will be scratching here, and then it will jump to another branch. It is not like a lion quietly sitting. You will not. If you see a lion roaming around very aggressively, the entire zoo will get annoyed, tensed. Lion will be sitting quietly. A monkey will jump from one branch to another. Most of us have a monkey mind. Most of us. It's not that we have a monkey mind. We have a very poor intellect. Therefore, the mind has become like a monkey. Many parents they look at their child and say, I have 2 monkeys at home. The monkeys really, no, 2 children, the monkeys at home. Monkey mind. Mind is like that, constantly jumping. In Sanskrit, they call Astira and Chanchala. It jumps from one place to another. Within a place also, it is very fidgety. How many of us can remain in a place quietly? 1 minute or less than a minute, our hands go to the mobile. You are checking. Even if there is no message, you are still checking.
Absolutely true.
So, there's there's this research. If anyone checks their mobile phones every 6 minutes.
6 minutes.
Every 6 minutes. You can't be without it beyond 6 minutes. And you carry it everywhere, including the restroom. They say you are addicted to it. Or the mobile is addicted to you. It can't leave you. I'm just saying, it is, the mind gets distracted. It cannot remain quietly. So Blaise Pascal's beautiful statement, all sufferings of humanity is due to the inability of a person to sit in a place quietly, and I'm adding few more words, and think.
Think.
and think. To sit in a place, all sufferings, he doesn't say this or that, all sufferings of humanity can be dealt with properly if you have the potential to sit in a place quietly and think.
Think. Wonderful, sir.
Yes.
So thanks for wonderful, clarification. We started with attraction, then we, saw what it is, and we moved to distraction, and then you clearly explained why we are attracted and why always our distractions are more attractive.
Right.
Say, for example, we understand all these things, like, for a person who have crossed 40, and then I've been for many of us, even whatever the irrespective of the age, if one person have kept on giving into distractions, where eventually it will lead.
Right. See, when anyone who is giving into distraction, meaning they are functioning on their mind, or the mind has overpowered their personality, which means they do what they like to do. They are a victim of their impulses. They can become emotional. They can not be disciplined enough. And eventually it leads to destruction. Let's figure out how it happens. Number one, the mind holds the intellect hostage and reasons in a way it wants to reason, which is no reasoning at all. It is they would have started in the right way because the mind likes certain things, and it may hold the intellect hostage, and just where justification happens. It is like a person who likes cigarettes. My uncle, smoked one packet a day, and he lived still 75. What's the problem? He's 25. He thinks another 50 years. So mind likes certain things, is distracted with certain things. It holds the intellect hostage and reasons in a way which is no reasoning at all.
No reasoning at all, true.
So this is one. And which make this, even the person wants to be a sports person, or this makes them lose consistency in their pursuit, and the potential they have slowly gets diluted because of this indiscipline. It is there's this beautiful poem called The Pond. In that there are ducks playing in the pond, and a chicken looks at the duck which is playing in the pond and wants to go into the water and swim along with the ducks. The mother of the chicken says, look here, you can't go there. You can't swim. You won't be able to swim. And the chicken looks at the ducks and then tells to itself, their beaks are pointed and my beaks are round. Is that any reason I'll be drowned? Their beaks are pointed and my beaks are round. Is that any reason I'll be drowned? And then it makes a killer statement. It says, I'm really remarkably fond of water. Beautifully put. I'm really remarkably fond of water. And then it says, no, their beaks are pointed and my beaks are round. Is there any reason I'll be drowned? I don't think there's any reason. No, beaks will make any difference. It ventures into the water, it splashes and dashes, and it finally wishes, I wish I listened to my mother. And it dies, and it dies eventually. So, what we are saying is, got to watch out. What are you really remarkably fond of? If you can deal with that, you're better off. What are you really? That's when you justify. Like the chicken, I'm really remarkably fond of the water. You can replace, I'm really remarkably fond of. Fill in the blanks. And then you will know that could be the real barrier for you, for anyone. Next, now again, our life functions on cause and effect. As we mentioned, the impulse, the stimuli from the world is the cause. That's the impulse you receive, and temptation is an effect. Again, stimuli from the world is the cause. It is temptation is an effect. Temptation is a cause. Distraction is an effect. Distraction is a cause. Indulgence is an effect. Indulgence becomes a cause. Delusion is an effect. Now you're deluded by that distraction, by that indulgence. You're deluded. You think that's what everything is all about. It could be substance abuse, any other aspect, ego, fulfillment, any kind of a thing. The distraction becomes a cause, indulgence becomes an effect. Indulgence becomes a cause, delusion becomes an effect. Delusion, you can't think properly. What you think to be right, which is absolutely, you're deluded. Like a person who's drunk, I can drive the car properly. It is, or it is anything. It is in delusion, you can't think clearly. And then delusion becomes a cause, destruction of a person becomes the effect. Eventual destruction in delusion becomes a cause, destruction of the individual becomes an effect. Therefore, impulse is a cause, temptation is an effect. To go through it.
Previous
Impulse is a cause, temptation is an effect. Temptation is a cause, distraction is an effect. Distraction is a cause, indulgence is an effect. Because you are distracted, you indulge in it. Indulgence is a cause, delusion is an effect. You think that's what pleasure, that's what success is all about. And delusion is a cause, destruction of a person is the effect. And so destruction doesn't just happen just like that. There's a sequence, and it all starts with a thought. It all starts with a distraction. It all starts with a meandering of the mind, a weakness of the mind. And eventually, as we say, the mind will not stop until it destroys itself. Mind will not stop until it destroys itself. So that's how it is. The mind, that is how the mind is designed. Unless it uproots itself. So you got to be, there's no other way but to bring in the intellect. You need to have the intelligence, you need to have the intellect, and using that, the mind becomes a beautiful instrument. Beautiful instrument. Lord Krishna talks, his favorite instrument is a flute. A flute has, 7 holes, and it's a hollow instrument. 7 holes represent the 5 sense organs: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. And the sixth one is the mind, 7th is the intellect. If you know how to use it, how to play the flute, exquisite music. If you don't know how to play the flute, it's just distorted noise. If a person who doesn't know, the noise comes in. But if you know how to play the flute, you're just maneuvering of the holes, right? The way you listen to Hari Prasad Chaurasi or a few people, how they play the flute. Krishna's favorite instrument. Why? There must be something, right? It's a hollow equipment. It's a hollow equipment. How you play determines how well you have groomed yourself. It is the 7 holes. The 7 actually holes. And 5 sense organs, mind and intellect. And if you have inclined to the higher values, exquisite music. And the music which you bring about stays forever. So watch out with the distractions, because that could lead to your destruction. Even initially it's okay. You allow it. Eventually distraction will lead to destruction.
Sir, I enjoy the tapestry of the conversation. We started attraction in a positive note. When we come to the, almost the final leg of the podcast, I could see that, that the same attraction which is a positive can also be a negative.
Correct.
And eventually the continuance of, distraction can lead to destruction. Correct. Thanks for an amazing experience in the podcast. But before we part, I wanted to have one last question, sir. We've learned in this podcast about everything, like, how our own mind plays against us. How do we break this?
We have no choice but to break this cycle. That's the grandeur of a human being. That's the grandeur of a human being. You have what they call as purushartha, the possibility of self-effort, the choice of action, and you have the buddhi, the intellect, using the potential of making choice, potential of self-effort, and the equipment, which is the intellect, you can practice self-control. Self-control is not self-denial. You're not denying, you're not frustrating yourself. You are using the potential of Purushartha, the self-effort in us, and the equipment, which is the intellect, which is fired with values, fired with a higher goal, fired with selflessness or unselfishness. And as a result, your choices emanate from your intellect most of the time, or a confluence of mind and intellect in certain times. This is number one. Right way of using your Purushartha, your self-effort and intellect. At times, the choices emanate from the intellect. You have set the alarm at 6 o'clock. The mind says, I need another hour of sleep. It's weekend. The intellect says, no, you have to go for a walk and you have to do your study. So you follow the intellect, and certain times I'm going to attend the spirituality intensive class. It's a confluence of mind and intellect. You like the classes and the people, and the intellect says it's the right thing to do. So this is one. The second aspect is where, it's a beautiful suggestion given by my master, Swami Parthasarathy. He says, end perception with perception. End experience with experience. A great experience or a bad experience. End it. Meaning, don't mentally linger over it. If it's a bad experience, learn the lessons. If it's a great experience, be thankful for it. We're not saying, oh, great experience, I don't want to. It's not that you don't want to think about it. You be thankful for it. It's in a memory. A very terrible experience, learn from it. Something I've done wrong, which I don't want to do it again. So, number one, use the Purushartha and Buddhi. The self-effort and intellect in the proper ways to make choices. Either from the intellect or a confluence of mind and intellect. Next is end experience with experience. Therefore, you are in the present all the time. These two will help us to develop what we call as self-control. And with this, I'm saying, you break the habit of being a helpless victim of distractions. There's no other way. I wish there are many other ways. This is the only way. So, I hope it answers your question.
Thank you so much, sir. It definitely helps, but end experience with experience. I would definitely like to take this experience of podcast along with me forever in my memory.
Thank you, Prashanth, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.